Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
The nation's longest running traveling celebration of traditional arts, the National Folk Festival, comes to downtown Jackson for the first time, November 7th through the 9th. A fun-filled weekend for the entire family, exploring roots, richness, and variety of American culture. Non-stop music and dance, folk life demonstrations, hands-on children's activities, signature Southern foods, crafts, and more showcasing the best of America, the best of Mississippi, all free. We'll see you in November. More at nationalfolkfestival.com.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing and my awesome producer, Java Chapman, and all the other folks at MPB. I want to give a special shout out to live stream producer John C. and Abram Nanny. We're going to be just talking about gardening for the next hour, so if you want to give us a call, it is toll free. So before we get started on that stuff, what's been going on, Java?
Oh, man, everything's been happening. You know, Juneteenth was yesterday. It's been raining every day of the week. Also, I had to be reminded because, I mean, you're Felder, your birthday is on Juneteenth. So happy belated birthday, man.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, you know, it's just one of those kind of, matter of fact, today's cheesy tune is all about that. So anyway, it's always been good. You know, I don't really celebrate birthday that much. First of all, because it's always been hot, and who cares, you know? But I just passed another. I'm now an odd number. I'm not divisible for this coming year. I've got an odd number. So anyway, you know, it's just been crazy. It's been so hot and humid and rainy. Is it still raining?
Yeah, it's been raining every day, and the forecast is pretty much a wash in, a rinse and repeat as far as like it's going to be hot. It's going to have spotty showers, and then it's going to be hot.
Yeah. Well, you know, the only thing different is rainy showers. Usually by this time of year, we don't have anything. But anyway, in case you wonder why I sound a little bit funny, and I've got this background with all the flowers in the back, I ain't in Mississippi. You know, this time last week, I was in the Colorado Rocky Mountains with my cousin Sam and Di. Been up to Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons and Albuquerque and Denver and a lot of botanic gardens and stuff. But as soon as I got back to Mississippi, Java, I opened the door. I got off the airplane and it just smacked me. I'm back in the heat and humidity. So I decided just to take a little bit of a break, and I'm out of there. We'll talk about it in just a second. But before I did leave, I went up to the Agriculture Museum, and because I'm usually gone to overseas by this time, it's been a long time since I saw a garden in the middle of June. And I went up to the Agriculture Museum to the herb garden, and my tiger lilies are blooming. I planted them years ago. I think I got a picture of them. Tiger lilies they're like orange daylilies, but their petals are curved back, and they got dark brown spots all over them. Matter of fact, I don't know why they call them tigers, because tigers don't have spots. But anyway,
that is true. Tigers don't have spots, but these flowers, they are orange and spotty.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if you can see, but it's got these long stamens sticking out there with those brown pollen things on it. I got that stuff all over everywhere, all over my jeans, all over the Jeep, everywhere. But anyway, that's pretty cool. And another thing I did before I left, I went over and visited with my granddaughter, Allie. And I've got a picture of her in her little garden. Those of you on live stream can see these pictures. If you're not on live stream, you can go anytime to YouTube, even at 2 in the morning, go to YouTube and type in Gestalt Gardener or MPB, and you can see the stuff that Java and I are talking about. But anyway, this is my little granddaughter, Allie. She's not quite 5. And she got a little bitty garden that I made for her that's got a lot of purples and pinks. And in this picture, she had just gotten out of the bath, getting ready for bed, and she was out picking stuff, showing me how snapdragons work, you know, little snapdragon things. But also, she did something that your sweetheart, Crystal, did last week. She picked her first tomato.
Yeah. So it probably had a big sense of pride, too.
Well, How does Crystal, how's she talking about it?
Oh well, Crystal, she's super excited. We were able to gift some to my mother just last night, but she also made a post talking about how social media posts about how the tomatoes from the garden taste way better than anything she's ever gotten out of the store.
Yeah, and what? And there's two things involved here. One is a horticultural thing, and the other is a psychological thing. The horticultural thing is homegrown tomatoes are typically picked when they're ripe on the vine, and that's not that big a deal because when they're picked for commercial use, like for grocery stores, they're picked when they're showing just a little bit of color. They're still green, but they got a little pink color, and they'll go ahead and ripen and soften. They don't get any sweeter, they don't taste any better. But the varieties that they grow commercially for stores are designed to be tough and easy to ship without bruising, so they don't have as much juice, they don't have as much flavor. They look better and they hold up. The ones at home, you pick them and they're just ready to go right there. So the homegrown ones do have more flavor because they're the right varieties. But there's a psychological thing too. John, did your mom or grandmama ever make sun tea?
No, maybe my grandmother did on her front porch out in Oxford. Yeah.
Yeah, but people they get a big jug of water and they put some tea bags in it and sit it out in the sun, let it steep like that. And everybody says it's the best tea they ever drank. And the truth is, it's really not. It's really not that good. I think the phrase "highly variable" comes to mind. When you brew tea in the sun, it's no telling what it's going to taste like. But because we did, you shove enough sugar and some lemon in it or some mint, it's going to be fantastic. But the reason we think it's better is because we did it ourselves. We had ownership. It's that Gestalt thing. It's a tactile thing. And you feel kind of smug when you make your own sun tea. Even if it doesn't taste good, people can say, ooh, this is the best tea I ever had.
Yeah, it's that DIY or that I did this. I did
Yeah,
this.
that's right. And there's something to that. So anyway, so homemade sun tea and homegrown tomatoes do taste better just because we did it ourselves. Anyway, I'm real proud of her because I only got one. I planted this tomato for Allie, and it just had one little tomato. But that's all it took for her. It's all it took. She
Yeah.
didn't even like tomatoes, but she used it as a clown nose. And next thing you know, her mama sliced it up and ate it. So anyway, now I'm a hero, even though it's just one little tomato. So it's a calling program. We got any callers yet?
Yeah, we actually have our first caller for the morning. If you want to join the conversation, 1-877 MPB ring. That's 1-877-672-7464. And we're going to say good morning to Myra, calling in from Columbus this morning.
Good morning, Myra. How's it going? What's happening in Lowndes County?
Oh, not much. It's not raining right now. It's nice.
It's been weird, hasn't it?
What's that?
It's been weird. The weather has.
It has, yeah. We've got a large wooded front yard. We've taken out a lot of dead pine trees, and we want to replace them with some long standing shade trees, that our grandkids can enjoy.
Yeah.
My husband's from Wilkinson County, and he grew up with those old, beautiful live oak trees.
Yeah.
Well, we don't see the old ones up here. Are we too far north for planting live oaks?
Well, this is one of those things where the horticulturist in me and the garden in me are at odds. I learned when I was studying plants at Mississippi State that live oaks are native to along the Gulf Coast, and they'll grow up in Columbus, even in North Mississippi, and they'll do okay, but they occasionally get winter damage, and they don't grow as big, as sturdy as they do the further south you go. But they'll do okay. The problem is they're fairly slow growing, and they're really dense shade under there. So if you want to put one out there, just keep in mind it's going to take a while. There are some faster growing shade, and it's evergreen. See, so it's going to be shady there even in the wintertime. So, but anyway, that'll do fine. Let me give you a tip though. I grew up in a tree nursery, grew trees and planted trees from seeds, transplanted to the fields. When they got older, we dug them, we put them in landscapes. I planted countless trees, and in every case, a small tree will outgrow a larger tree every time. It'll grow faster, it'll get established quicker, it's easier to plant, it's cheaper, but it'll actually outgrow a bigger tree. So if you want to plant some good sturdy trees, Don't go with the big ones. Go with some small ones, but dig a wide hole. If you imagine sticking your fingers straight out and wiggling them, that's where the roots of a tree want to be. So if you'll dig a wide hole and then loosen up the potting soil when you plant it, and then mulch around it, that tree will get established so fast, and it'll almost double in size where a bigger one just sit there. So live oak would be a good one.
Okay, well, we'll try that. We'll do a mix of stuff, magnolias and other things.
There's a little gem magnolia, and all my native plant friends they're gonna go nuts on this. But if you can find a mimosa tree, they're fast and they are the best climbing trees for kids ever.
That's also what we're looking for too. So we'll try that.
It's hard to find them commercially, but a lot of people have mimosas. They're a little bit weedy to some folks, but I always have mimosas. They're fragrant. They're great hummingbird magnets. And they're just fast, and kids will always remember climbing in. What do they call you? What do your grandkids call you?
Well, I'm their mama. Yeah, so we're talking about getting trees later for our grandkids. So yeah, mama.
So you're not Meemaw yet, or Mawmaw?
No. We were just thinking about the future.
Well, the grandkids will call you Meemaw or Mawmaw. They'll remember climbing the live oak tree. The kids will remember the mimosa tree.
That's right. We'll do both then. Well,
all righty. You bet. Appreciate it. Java, Meemaw, Mawmaw. What do your kids call their grandmama?
Well, we have my mother's name is Nana, and Crystal's mom's name is Mimi. So we have a Nana and a Mimi.
You know what my granddaughter calls me?
What she call you?
Felder.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, that's as goofy as Paw Paw. What's she supposed to call me? Paw Paw? Felder. See, she doesn't know that's my name. She just thinks that's what I am, her Felder.
You just her Felder. No, okay. Now that you've explained it, I can accept that. You're supposed to be like a pop or something.
Yeah, Paw. Yeah. Do I look like? I guess I might look like a Paw. I'd be a heck of a Paw Paw. I can tell you that. When I got home last Saturday night from a trip out to the mountains. Couple of interesting things. I went to the Albuquerque Botanic Garden. Albuquerque is high desert. It gets 110 degrees out there in the summertime. It's desert. I mean, even cactus has a hard time growing there. But I was talking to the horticulturalist there, and there are the same planting zone as Mississippi. There's zone 8, just like Jackson.
Oh, wow.
So when people say, no, I'm in zone 8, I'm thinking Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tucson, Arizona, Seattle, Washington, Liverpool, England are all zone 8, just like Mississippi. Not the same plants grow there. But anyway, one thing they don't have is humidity. You get hot and you get sweaty, but it evaporates as you feel cool. Anyway, when I got home to Mississippi humidity, I was sort of glad, but really not. Water, we don't need no stinking water right now. But what I did, Java, is I tidied up the garden for the summer, did a little pruning, a little weeding, some mulching, planted a few potted things that may not make it on their own. I almost picked some figs. My fig bush, which I've carefully cultivated to be a bush instead of a tree, I had a couple of ripe ones early before the possum found them, but it is completely loaded with figs right now. Not quite ripe, so my daughter says she's going to come over and learn how to make fig preserves. Have you ever had any homemade fig preserves? Because you got a fig tree. If you
I was just about to say we don't have the homemade fig preserves, but maybe that's in our future.
But you got a fig tree, but it's still in the pot.
We're not going to talk about that right now.
Yeah, we are. It ain't going to ever make figs if you don't put it in the ground. Although I will say this, you can grow figs in a big pot. If Crystal wants to get a big pot and plant it in there and then prune it to keep it as a bush, you can make figs as a bush in a pot. Really can.
And now let's go to our first break for the hour.
Okay. And by the way, while we're going into that, let me mention this. Zoe, when she was remembering picking figs from her great-great-grandmother's tree, she remembered it was really, really itchy. And it wasn't just July. It wasn't just June or July. It was itchy. Figs have got latex in them, and it can give an allergic reaction, not just sticky. I mean, it gets real sticky for that latex. It's in the same family as rubber tree, but sticky and itchy. That's just part of it. Because it's a rubber tree, it's got that latex in it. So anyway, fig itch is part of being in Mississippi. We're going to take a real quick break and come back and talk with more folks about gardening right here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Stick with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Every parent wants their child to grow, to explore, and to dream big. At MPB, we're proud to support families and teachers across Mississippi with trusted educational programming and resources that inspire learning and spark imagination. From PBS Kids favorites to digital tools and early learning support, MPB is here for young minds, engaged classrooms, and families who believe in the power of learning at every age. Empowering families, inspiring learners. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission. The nation's longest running traveling celebration of traditional arts, the National Folk Festival comes to downtown Jackson for the first time, November 7th through the 9th. A fun-filled weekend for the entire family, exploring roots, richness, and variety of American culture. Non-stop music and dance, folk life demonstrations, hands-on children's activities, signature Southern foods, crafts, and more showcasing the best of America, the best of Mississippi, all free. We'll see you in November. More at nationalfolkfestival.com.
Folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. In case you didn't notice, I'm not in the studio with Java right now. As a matter of fact, it got so hot and humid when I got back from the Rocky Mountains and the Grand Tetons and all. I said, you know what? Heck with this, I'm out of here. So I'm back in my village in Lancashire, northwest England, not far from Liverpool in the Lake District. And Java, you won't believe this, but they are freaking out in England right now. All the news are heading off with it is a killer heat wave. It's going to get up to 85 degrees here today.
Oh man, just spare me the detail.
But here's the deal: their houses they don't have air conditioning. They got little windows, so that, it actually feels like you're in an oven because these houses are built to stay warm. So when it gets warm, but anyway, 85 degrees heat. It still cools down into the 60s at night. But yesterday, being my birthday, I decided to celebrate. I took a walk up into the moors, which are like steep hills past the waterfalls, and I was picking wild raspberries. As a matter of fact, I think I've got pictures here. Picture number 5 of some raspberries that I picked, wild raspberries yesterday. And I mean, they're just everywhere. Nobody cares about them. They're just like weeds. And I also picked some little blueberries, picture number 6. They're called wimberries, W-I-M berries. They're tiny little blueberries. They're real sweet, but it takes a lot to make a handful. Well, they just got fruit growing all around because it's acidic. It's a peat bog, basically. But one thing, talking about figs, this is the last picture before I take our next call. Picture number 7 is of a fig tree growing around a terrace house the street over from where I live. She has a fig tree that is almost 2 stories tall. It frames her house. She pruned it up against her house over an arch, so it frames her door. And she has figs, but it's facing a south-facing wall, so it doesn't get as cold in the wintertime. They grow figs in northern England. Anyway, I just want to show that. So anyway, let's go now to Natchez. Steve has been holding on for a long time. Steve, I appreciate your call. How you doing?
Good morning, fellas. I'm doing well, and sounds like you're in a nice place right now.
Well, I didn't mention the job after I went up to the moors. It's about a 5-mile hike up there, hike back out. I stopped by the pub for a locally brewed real ale, a pint of dark beer. So, it's nice being an old guy if you could take a walk and come back and finish it off with a nice dark beer.
That sounds like a plan to me. Well, look, before I get on to what I planted in my garden this year, I've got 2 beautiful fig trees out there at Lake St. John, and I let a young couple come and pick figs last year because they're loaded. Yeah. And they made some fig preserves, and a couple weeks later they brought me 4 jars over.
Wow.
And as I was putting those 3 of those jars up in my pantry, I dropped one on my tile floor. Oops. And it was like a crime scene of sticky glass. Okay. It took forever to clean up those fig preserves, and I felt so bad about ruining it. But they really did a good job on their first batch ever of homemade fig preserves.
I tell my friends from Vermont, I've got good friends from Vermont, and they're real proud of Vermont maple syrup. It's double A or whatever they call it. They're real proud of it. And I said, look, you can get Vermont maple syrup at every Piggly Wiggly in Mississippi, but you got to know somebody to get some homemade fig preserves. But just stop throwing
That's
it on the
right.
floor, Steve. Don't throw it on the
Yeah.
floor, Steve.
I've never and that was a huge mistake, and I'm still finding glass stuck to stuff in there. But hey,
Ouch,
so you know what
ouch.
I've added to my garden these last few years? A colleague of mine recommended it. Have you ever grown Japanese eggplant?
You mean the long ones, the long skinny ones, or the ones that are shaped like
Yes.
eggs?
No, the long skinny ones. The variety I get is called Ichiban.
Yeah, Ichiban. That's
And
that's a good old variety.
oh,
Uh,
well,
I
let me
I
tell you,
haven't. Go ahead.
well, I was saying, they grow fast. A lavender flower. I put bloom start fertilizer on them to kickstart them. And right now, I probably have 6 or 8 that I'll be able to harvest. You get them when they're smaller. They have less seeds, and the flavor is good. But there's a couple dishes you can make. One is a it's a Greek lasagna.
Yeah.
Masaka, I think it's called. My neighbor makes that. It's delicious. Instead of pasta, you use an eggplant. And the other way I take mine and do it, and it's so good, great appetizer when people are coming over. I take it, slice it thin, just in round circles like potato chips, and I egg wash it. Use Zatarain's chicken fry.
Skinny like potato chips, or thicker like
You
cucumbers.
don't want to make them too thick. So I'm egg
Mhm.
washing them, putting them in Zatarain's chicken fry, putting them in powder them first and egg wash them and powder them again. Fry them in about half an inch of oil, and you're frying them until they turn brown.
Yeah.
Immediately take it out and put fresh grated Parmesan cheese over the top and have your favorite marinara sauce. It is absolutely heaven. And they're so easy to grow, and they'll continue producing all the way through September.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the reason I don't grow because I really don't like to eat eggplants, but I think you've made a convert out of me with the. So what do you call the fried chips? Just fried eggplant? Is that what you call it?
I just fried eggplant. Yeah. And
No,
look,
no,
I've
no,
had
no,
a
no,
few
Steve.
friends come over kind of like, ooh, I don't eat eggplant. This is
Steve.
like heaven. And I use Zatarain's chicken fry. You can use whatever flour you want to use,
Okay.
but it's got that little extra seasoning to it, and it's the fresh Parmesan cheese. Put it on as soon as you take it out of the fryer. Put it on paper towels, and grate some of that fresh Parmesan over the top. You will not be disappointed. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you need to call the foodie folks here on MPB and talk about that because and just call it fried eggplant. No, that won't do. This dish, it sounds too good to call it fried eggplant. Anybody can fry an eggplant, but you need to come up with your own special Steve's something eggplant.
Steve's
Yes,
purple
look,
Steve's
I'll
purple
work
steak.
on that, and I'll give you an update on it. Well, look, my fig trees are loaded. My tomatoes are loaded. My Better 100 little cherry sweet tomatoes. Last year, I actually harvested some in December on Christmas Eve that we had with our filet steaks that we ate that night. We put them in the salad. They just don't stop.
Do you have a big garden or just stuff in the backyard?
Oh, no, it's small. And my cherry tomatoes I planted in a big pot on my patio, and it faces south. So they don't get baked in the sun all day long. They get morning and afternoon, and they just keep growing. And they kind of, tucker out a little bit in August, but come October, they're right. Here's the flowers and here's the fruit. And they're really amazing. The Better 100 sweet tomatoes.
What you're doing, Steve, is it's an interesting, fairly new word that was coined. It's called ornamental. I mean, those little eggplants, like you say, they got the purple flowers. They're beautiful plants. They got great looking leaves, but you're growing them as ornamental plants that when you're tired of looking at them, you can eat them. They're called ornamentals. And even though I don't eat eggplant, I don't eat okra either, but I grow okra because it's a good looking plant. It's great foliage. It's got a big hibiscus flower, and it's got those wonderful pods on it you could turn upside down and paint into Santa Claus faces. But growing stuff that's good to eat is one thing, but it's pretty too. That's no better. Ornamental.
I'm definitely going to check that out because I plant a lot of flowers and keep hummingbirds. Look, I've got the greatest hummingbird plants. The black blue salvia and a plant called cigar plant, little tubular.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but the hummingbirds love that.
They go to my feeders, and another thing real quick, I've had for the last 3 years at Lake St. John Orioles that drink off of my feeders, my hummingbird feeders, because they're nectar drinkers, and I've been cutting oranges in half and putting them on a little spike thing on my for my birds, and they will, between them and the woodpeckers, they will devour an orange in about 20 minutes.
Well, hummingbirds will too.
Well, the hummingbirds don't go to the oranges, but they do love the cigar plant, the black blue salvia, and they'll even go to zinnias if they're in perfect bloom. And I still have some hanging around, but it's the Oreos that are just amazing. Fun to watch.
Yeah, I tell you something else. You can also put a watermelon rind, leaving some of the red meat on it, put it out there, and you'll be amazed at the butterflies that come to that.
I will definitely do it because I've got a sugar town in my truck right now. I'm about 30 minutes away from the lake. So I will definitely cut an end off and put it out there and see what happens.
Steve, I'm going to tell you this. Everybody talks about going to England because of their garden stuff. Heck with that. Let's go to Natchez and let's go visit Steve's garden.
Look, and all are always welcome. Anytime. I take great pride in it. I'm right at the retirement age, and as soon as that happens, I'll be full-time up here, and I will definitely have a bigger garden than I'm growing now. So, well, look, enjoy your vacation. We'll hold down the heat and humidity for you here in the Great South.
I appreciate it, Steve. Thank you. And thank you for sharing about the Ishiban eggplants, because I keep forgetting about those. But anyway, appreciate it. Sounds great.
Yeah, Steve does have something we may need to take a visit to. Steve's not playing out there in Natchez.
Well, it's been kind of crazy. I actually started making a few tomatoes before I left, and my figs are ready. It has a few peppers, not very much. But what I did with my herbs, particularly my basil, my oregano, and things like that, I cut it way back. My chrysanthemums that bloom in the fall, I cut them way back. My goldenrod, I cut them back because what's going to happen since I cut them back, I'm not going to miss anything because I'm not there, but they're going to branch out and be bushier with more to look at. A lot of people have trouble with goldenrod because it gets really big. Well, you can cut it back to knee high and it'll branch out. It'll be bushier with more flowers, more butterflies and stuff on it later. So, and chrysanthemums, this is a good time to cut chrysanthemums back because they'll be bushier with more flowers in this fall. So we got any other calls right now?
Yeah, we're coming up on our Cheesy Tune break, but let's talk to, this is Ella in Fayette.
Ella, what's going on in Fayette?
Hey, how are you? The heat and the humidity is just like there.
Yeah.
But I was calling. I have two plum trees, and my one blooms and puts out fruit before the other one. And it, like last year, I had an abundance of plums, and it started off the same way this year, but once they started getting ripe, I didn't pay attention to it at first, but then I noticed that they were drying up and clinging to the branches. I was able to get a few off of there, but over the majority of them, they just dried up and clung to the branches. So I really didn't get many plums off of there, and I was just wondering, is it something I could have done or need to do, or what caused that?
Is first of all, it's not your fault. Any climate that's hot and humid and has a lot of rain, you have a lot of different fungal and bacterial diseases. Just like with tomatoes and peaches and plums get the same diseases, and there's some rot diseases. If we have a lot of rainfall and a lot of humidity, these fungi and they sort of mummify. They turn them into little hard, mummy type things, and that's a common fungus. And if we have a lot of rainy weather like we've been having, it tends to spread more. So not much you can do about it. You could spray for them. The garden centers have got home fruit tree sprays. That's what they're called, home fruit tree sprays or home orchard sprays. And they've got the insecticides that'll keep the worms out of them. They also have a fungicide that puts a protective film, and it's a safe product. It's safe for you, but it puts a protective film, sort of like putting sunscreen on before you get sunburned. So if you wanted to spray, I'm gonna say, I hate to say this, but every week or two, because the stuff wears off or washes off. So you can get a home fruit tree spray and spray them from now until harvest, and that'll prevent a lot of the insects and a lot of the diseases. That's what commercial growers do.
Okay, well, that answered my next question, because I was going to ask it about my second plum tree. the plums, they did do well, but the majority, almost all of them, had the little worms on the inside. So I know now that I can just spray away those. Okay, I appreciate that.
You bet. Here's the problem with the worms, though. They get laid by a little beetle that punches a hole in there, and they start early. So you have to really start spraying a little bit earlier for the worms. But anyway, the home orchard spray has got everything for the worms and the fungus. But again, 1 or 2 sprays isn't going to cut it. You got to spray every week or 2, which is a lot of trouble for some people. So what I do is just those that are ready, I just close one eye and not look at them and take a big old bite and hope you're not a vegan.
But I do that.
Okay, well that's pretty much one of the reasons why we can't grow good peaches and plums in Mississippi, because they require a lot of sprays, and that's just one of those things. I was raised knowing that.
Okay, I was too.
All righty. Well, I appreciate your call. You stay cool and hydrated.
I will. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You bet. Now, Java, we need to go into this cheesy tune. I got to let you know I'm reminded of it because I had a birthday yesterday, and I'm getting on up there. And every single day, I appreciate every single day that comes along. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, folks. I can't tell if there's music playing. Is there music playing? Okay, there we go.
You see my little sign?
I got you. You got me a sign now. By the way, we're seeing a lot of webworms out there. They make tents in trees. Folks, don't worry about them. They're not hurting anything. They don't really hurt your tree. Baby birds depend on those worms. So they don't look good, the webworms and tent caterpillars. Just ignore them. Wrap them up with a branch and throw them on the ground where birds can get them. Don't set fire to them. That does more damage than the worms do. Don't prune them. Don't burn them. Just ignore them or wrap them up. That's what webworms and tent caterpillars are for. We'll be right back with more of the Gestalt Gardener right after learning about how I love to celebrate.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
The nation's longest-running traveling celebration of traditional arts, the National Folk Festival, comes to downtown Jackson for the first time, November 7th through the 9th. A fun-filled weekend for the entire family, exploring roots, richness, and variety of American culture. Non-stop music and dance, folk life demonstrations, hands-on children's activities, signature Southern foods, crafts, and more showcasing the best of America, the best of Mississippi, all free. We'll see you in November. More at nationalfolkfestival.com.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. That was Rare Earth saying, I just want to celebrate another day of living. Ain't it the truth, Java?
Yeah, that is one of my favorite songs, simply for the words in the song. I mean, because it's just a simple truth. And if we could all just continue to celebrate. Hey, because you're here. You're here.
Yep, that's right. Hey, you and I were talking during the break about some of the folks on the Facebook, the YouTube who are watching this via live stream. You said they're talking about raspberry preserves and stuff. Are we starting conversations out there in the community?
I think so. When you brought up fig preserves, Margie, Pamela, always tuned in on the YouTube, so we appreciate that along with everyone else who watches us on the live stream. But they started having a conversation about raspberry preserves. Pamela was talking about how her mother-in-law made freezer raspberry jam. And then Margie was talking about how she made strawberry freezer preserves. And we started something. We sparked a conversation this morning.
Yeah, I suspect that the one talking about raspberries must have been from further north, because we have a hard time in Mississippi growing raspberries. There was actually one developed up at Mississippi State. It's called Dorman Red raspberry, and it'll produce okay. There's some varieties that are developed up in the Ozarks in Arkansas by the university there. But raspberries tend to have a hard time in our hot, humid climate, our hot nights. And when you pick them, they just fall apart. When you pick a blackberry, it's got the stem and it's got a little core in it. When you pick a raspberry, it comes off of the core, like you pull it, and it just melts. Sometimes they don't taste that good either. But let me give you a quick recipe for fig preserves. Every book in the world has got fig preserves recipes, but they always call for a lot of sugar, Java, and I really don't like a lot of sugar. I like to taste the different fruits. So what I do is I use half the amount of sugar that the fig recipe calls for, but to help preserve it better, I also cook some lemons in it, some lemon juice and lemon, slices of lemon. The lemon in it has got the acidity that helps preserve it like the extra sugar. So mine is more like a fig lemon preserve, and you can actually taste the figs. But years ago, when we first started the Gestalt Gardener, my co-host Dr. Dirt had a wonderful recipe called fig pie. I mean, I'm telling you, fig pie. And it sounds kind of weird. You take any kind of pumpkin pie, just regular pumpkin type pie recipe, and substitute figs instead. And talk about good. I mean, skins and all. It's just an incredible little pie that people might want to try. Just use a pecan pie recipe, a sweet potato, any kind of recipe like that, and substitute figs. And let us know how it works. We need to get Carol and
Malcolm on Deep South Diner
talking about this.
Now that is something I'll make sure to we bring that up, because that is a simple. No, don't say I should do it.
Okay, but no, you are their producer, aren't you?
No, Marissa Vaughn is their producer. I pop in from time to time.
Fig pie.
Now, see, we'll figure it out.
Oh, if they can't, I mean, between the two of them, they know how to cook. Know how to cook. And so anyway, while we're waiting on calls to come in, it is toll-free 1-877-MPB ring if you want to give us a call. And I'm just chuffed to be with everybody today. I want to appreciate Abram and John C. for putting up pictures. And speaking of which, I've got a picture of something that's a little bit creepy looking. It's picture number 4. And let me describe this for people who aren't on YouTube. It looks like a roach. Can you see this, Java?
Yeah, man. What? Yeah, you have to explain.
Okay, the back part, the wing part is shiny black. The thorax, what we call the head, is bright red. It's got a pale yellow band all the way around it. So it's black with a yellow band all the way around it and a bright red head. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, this is a type of roach, but it doesn't hurt plants. It eats decaying stuff. It feeds on nectar, just like hummingbirds. And they're small. They're just half an inch long. They're quick. This is called the pale banded field roach. And I found one the other day in my garden. It's a good guy. We don't like the idea of it being a roach, but it was a cricket. We think it was cute. But anyway, the pale banded field, this is an example of a type of insect we normally think of as creepy and destructive, which is actually beneficial, and it feeds a lot of lizards and stuff like that. So anyway, the pale banded field roach. Who knew? This is one of those things nobody ever asked about, Java.
Well, the one thing that we didn't really plan for, and I think we might have struck a nerve, the phone lines are lighting up with, I see the first caller with fig preserves, and I presume the other two are about preserves too. It's funny how you can just spur a conversation off of one little thing, and the phone lines have blown up.
Yeah, well, I hope they keep in mind. We're going to talk about it. I hope they keep in mind, though, I'm about fig growing and fig eating, but when it comes to cooking, you know, that's what Malcolm and Carol do. Anyway, who we got?
Well, all right. Well, let's see what Beckett in Poplarville has to say about fig preserves.
Hey, Beckett, what's up?
Well, I don't mean to derail the fig growing at all. I just heard y'all talk about fig preserves. My grandmother, my mama, she made fig preserves all her life, and I actually
Momo.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell I'm from South Louisiana, but after she passed, I actually got the last jar of fig preserves she had made, and
wow.
it just worked out. My other grandmother had made a cookbook in like the 70s, and after she passed, we got a copy of that. My wife found a recipe for a fig cake in it, so she surprised me by using one grandmother's fig preserves to make a fig cake from the other one's recipe book. So,
okay, what was the other grandmother called? You got Momo and who?
Well, she was actually Big Momo. The other was Little Momo because one was 6 foot and the other was 4'9".
This is welcome to the South, y'all.
That's
Big
a
Momo,
good one.
Momo.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Beckett.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. A fig cake would be great too. Hey, try a fig pie. It's not complicated. It's just a regular fruit pie with figs instead. Give that a try.
Yes, sir. All right. Like I said, I didn't want to derail you. Thank you, though.
You were raised right, boy. You were raised right. Momo and Big Momo.
Now let's go to, let's see. This is Lisa in Ocean Springs wants to join the conversation.
Hey, Lisa, good morning. What's going on the coast? Getting any rain?
Bad storm last night, but it's really beautiful now.
Good. What you got going on?
I have a family grave site that it's ringed with concrete, and so the city mows the rest of it, but the grave sites that we own, I want something no taller than like ankle high that'll survive with no care, and maybe rarely flowers.
Is this in that beautiful old cemetery on the north side of town?
Yes, the one that's on the bayou.
Yeah, what a beautiful place. What a beautiful cemetery. There's not a whole lot that can tolerate being mowed, other than
mowed because it's in its own thing. They tend to weed eat or.
Okay, yeah. As I recall, that's mostly a shaded cemetery.
Yes.
Okay, you can go with plain old monkey grass, mondo grass, M-O-N-D-O. Mondo grass will spread and it'll fill in. It's not, that attractive, but it'll tolerate mowing quite well, and it makes a good ground cover. But it's the plain, not the dwarf mondo grass, but the regular mondo grass. And then because I know there's a lot of live oak trees out there, but there's some early blooming daffodils, the paper whites and the jonquils that you could plant in there with it, and they grow over the fall and bloom in the winter and die down before the mower. See, so you could have mondo grass all year with some seasonal daffodils in the wintertime.
Okay.
That might work. Also, if you put something compact like some of some irises. Iris has got good foliage in it, and it looks like a plant that they might not hit with a string trimmer. But irises would be a good little texture plant there. Put them up against the tombstone, and maybe put a little small fence type thing around it. That might help.
Well, the way this particular plot is, it's ringed with like a little 1 foot wide concrete to mark that this is a grave.
Yeah.
So it's not like that particular it's too wide, can't have a mower on it. They'd have to go up and over a curb to do just one strip, so they tend to run a weed eater.
The string trimmers will get right on it, though. So
yeah.
You know, there's also another plant that it spreads a little bit. There's a type, you know what Nandina is? Old-fashioned Nandina?
Yes.
There's one that's called Flirt, F-L-I-R-T, Flirt. It only gets about a foot tall. It's evergreen. It looks good all the year. If you put that out there, they're probably not going to hit it with a string trimmer. If they do, it comes right back. But if you use some mondo grass, a couple of irises, and see if you can find the Nandina called Flirt. I've seen it in some of the stores. I use it myself. Only gets about less than a foot, 6-8 inches tall, and it really looks good. And it'll tolerate the string trimmer. And it's so dense that you can't grow weeds in it. That might be an option.
That sounds perfect. Okay. Well, you've given me some ideas, and I thank you so much.
I appreciate it. By the way, when you go into the cemetery, just a block or so from it on the right-hand side, there's a garden that's got the coolest bottle tree I've ever seen right there near the cemetery on the way to there in Ocean Springs. I don't even know who owns it, but I love it.
Okay. I'll look next time I head down there.
Okay, appreciate it, and good luck on this. I have a real fond spot for cemetery plantings. I even do a slide presentation on plants that dead people can grow that look good in cemeteries. So anyway, I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, now let's go to, I told you the phone lines blew up. We have, and we got to move quickly to Evelyn in Jackson is on the line.
Evelyn, what's going on?
Hi there. I had a question about passion fruit. I have a purple passion flower, and I've never before had fruit on it, and I'm wondering if that's edible.
Yeah, you're talking about the passion vine?
It's a passion flower vine, and it's purple, and it's tropical.
Yeah. The fruit on them are called maypops. And they're not quite the size of an egg. And the trick is right now they're green, but if you let them get kind of wrinkly and yellow, kind of soft and gooey, they're a delicious edible fruit. But now we got to wait till when they're green, they're not edible.
The tropical ones.
Well, they're all in the same family.
Tropical ones rather.
Yeah, but they're all passiflora. And they all have edible fruit, but you got to let them get ripe, and they're almost nasty when they're ripe.
Right. And I had one quick comment about fig preserves. Years ago, my ex's grandmother made fig preserves, and she made it with peeled figs. And that was so delicate and so delicious.
Wait, what kind of figs?
Peeled. She would actually take the sugar fig.
Oh, she would peel the figs. No, she was from the South, right?
She was from Texas.
I knew it. Only a Southerner's going to be ladylike enough to peel her figs. Anyway, what a loving type of approach to preparing food.
Right. Well, thank you for your answers. I appreciate it.
You bet. Peel figs and Momo, Java. We're rocking and rolling today. Who else we got?
All right, I think we got our last caller for the morning, and this is Charles back in Natchez.
Charles, what's up? What's in Adams County? What's going on?
Brother, how you enjoying the show?
Appreciate it.
I got a quick thing. Yeah. What's the best fertilizer for tulips and Asiatic lilies?
Well, first of all, tulips are one shot. Once they bloom, you can throw them away. I can guarantee you, tulips are one shot in Natchez. Anybody tells you different does not know what they're talking about. So you can pull them up and throw them up behind your azaleas and let them compost. But as far as Asiatic lilies, whether it's a daylily, Asiatic lily, daffodils, whatever, any kind of all-purpose flowering fertilizer, whether it's for potted plants or tomatoes or roses, any kind of all-purpose flowering plant fertilizer will do pretty much all of the flowering plants. So, but anyway, the tulips are one shot. Compost those, but any kind of all-purpose flowering fertilizer.
Oh, okay. All right. I sure appreciate your answer, man. You helped me out a lot. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it.
Have a good day. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. John, it's been kind of, last week was really rough because I was walking around in my cousin Sam's yard and we were blacking out and I was dropping stuff. It was horrible. And you were a hero, man. I see why you make the big bucks at MPB. Well, not that anybody makes big bucks at MPB.
I was just saying, okay, there you go. Clean it up. But no, anyway, before we get out of here, and I'm going to have to, last week's show was not so rough because I ran into a young lady who listened to the show and she thoroughly enjoyed it.
So you, in other words, I need to mess up more.
Well, we're not gonna go that far, but I do have
ratings.
I do have a question from YouTube, and it's from my friend Margie, who was talking about the preserves. She says, she said, I actually have a fig in a pot on my front porch, but then she said, can I put 2 Shoal Creek Vitex in big pots? Just wondering.
Oh, yeah. Now, that Vitex gets to be big. It makes a small tree, so you're going to have to keep it pruned. And every few years, you're going to have to pull it out of the pot, cut some of the old roots off, and repot it. You got to treat like a bonsai. If you put it in a big pot and leave it there for 5-6 years, it's going to use up all the fertilizer. And I mean, all the potting soil. So it needs to be repotted every few years. But they do great. It's just going to need a big pot. And you can leave it out all year. This is a plant that grows in cemeteries in Texas. That's how tough it is. Dead people can grow this. There, I said it.
You said it. Now, Felder, I know you can't hear the theme music, but I just want to let you know that I'm about to play the theme music starting now.
Okay. People on YouTube, you may want to notice in the background here, I've got a picture of one of the gardens that I helped tend. This is my sweetheart's mother's garden. She's 90. She can't take care of her garden, but we go out there and we prune the roses. We plant lavender and all that kind of English stuff. But just want to let you know that I grow mostly cactus and succulents that don't need me. They're pretty without it. But you've tuned into the Gestalt Gardener here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Me and Java, John C., Abram, we've been having a blast with y'all today. Look forward to talking to you every week right here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. So, folks, if you get a chance, go to a garden center and show folks how to do what we do best, and that's get dirty.
Good job, man. See you next week.
You didn't let me know that you didn't do the thing.
I know, but we're off. We're good to go.
Okay, appreciate it, guys.